So amidst all of the chaos that has been going around the RE community with the Gamescom stuff and whatnot involving Resident Evil Requiem, there have been some interviews being released to the public, and one of the things I have not seen being talked about much is the potential foreshadowing, I guess you could say, for the future of Resident Evil. And I'm not talking about after RE9 into the next mainline game or whatever. What I'm talking about is a rumor that has been going around a slight bit for some time now, and Koshi Nakanishi, the director of RE9, may have possibly hinted at it. So before we get into this video, I would like to say I have a Discord server. If you want to talk about what's going on lately in the RE scene and just want to chat with some good people, and also me about how I've been doing or just want to stay up to date with my content, then be sure to click the link in either the pinned comment or the link in the description down below. I would appreciate it if y'all did that and joined the server. Now, with that out of the way, let's finally get into this. I have no idea who exactly interviewed Nakanishi. It may have been someone like Games Radar or something like that, but there has been a rumor recently going around saying that after Resident Evil Requiem, Capcom is strongly considering to stop having games take place in the year they release. Now again, it's still a mystery involving what year RE9 takes place, because it's either 2026 or 2028, because the developer said it's around 30 years, which doesn't mean it is 30 years to be exact, but it also could if that makes sense. Anyways, this is what Nakanishi had to say. In the Resident Evil series so far, various characters have been involved in various works and on various timelines. Of course, we may continue to depict stories that go further into the future, but in terms of moving forward, quote unquote, in this way, we wanted to make sure we told the story of Raccoon City properly here. With the way Resident Evil games are starting to be developed, especially knowing that RE9 was in development for supposedly 7 to 8 years, and with that development process and the way Capcom makes the games take place the year they release, it may start to become a problem, especially knowing a majority of the characters we know and love in the Resident Evil universe have unknown conclusions, or they have been stuck on the shelf of Capcom for the longest time now. Not to mention the character age is only going to get older as years go by without Resident Evil games. As of right now, they seem to be focused on mainline and remake games, but this begs the question. Does this make the Revelations games, or let alone another side series, make its way to the table of Capcom when discussing RE games? Do CGI movies play bigger roles into what could possibly transpire in other RE games, or even mangas that occasionally release? It's all up in the air right now, and this isn't even the end of the conversation. We can talk about what gaps can be filled that we can possibly explore, or even mention the cliffhangers of the RE universe that for some odd reason don't have any answers or a continuation to them. For example, Alex Wesker and Natalia. Now, I am aware of the face model that posted her involvement for RE Requiem the moment the game got revealed, which that's still funny as hell to me. And even if you look at her, she kind of resembles an older Natalia Corda. And I definitely have some other things to say about RE Requiem in general, like saying this mysterious villain is not the only one out there. As a matter of fact, I have no idea even if he is the main villain or not, because you never know, it could be getting revealed in due time. Maybe there is a chance that the Alex Wesker mystery can be answered with RE9. We have no idea as of right now. But the one that seems to be the most popular cliffhanger we know of, that we're kind of shocked that wasn't really going to be the plot of Resident Evil 9, more so because even if you go back to around 2022, we all wanted it to be that, or maybe a majority of people, and it's obviously the BSA cliffhanger at the end of RE Village. The biggest thing what we anticipated with that was the return of Jill Valentine, which she hasn't physically appeared in a mainline Resident Evil game since RE5, which was in 2009. With fans now having a solid demand for this plot point to be continued, it makes us wonder if Capcom will ever tackle this in a future title that goes back in time of release. We know the Revelations games do that, and also the CGI projects as have recently been doing that as well. There's even 2 more cliffhangers. The first one I personally think has faded away to the point where not many people care about it anymore. I think there are definitely some people that do care about it still, but it's definitely in the bottom tier now in terms of cliffhangers we want to be executed on, if that's the right wording. And it's Raymond and Jessica working for Tricell. Ever since the company shut down, we don't know exactly what they're doing or what their motives are. We saw a little bit of a heart with Raymond when he tried to save Parker. Jessica, however, wasn't feeling the same. There could be a way they worked with the connections, but it's a stretch to say nonetheless. And a lot of new RE fans would ultimately be like, who the hell are these people? But I don't think that's a bad thing if they did ever return, but who knows, they probably won't. And there's even other ones like, who exactly called Ada at the end of RE6? Is Nikolai even alive, and did he potentially survive the bombing of Raccoon City? There's a conversation about the cliffhangers, but there's another one involving the gaps in the timeline that we have been wanting to be filled for so long. The first one I'm thinking of immediately is 2017 to 2026. If you're a Chris fan, I'm sure you don't gotta worry about this entirely. But for others, let's sit down and discuss. Jill, Claire, Leon, Rebecca have not appeared canonically in the timeline for over 10 years. Ada Wong is around 12 to 13 years. And let's think of some other characters that have roles in prominent organizations in Resident Evil. Sherry Birkin, Sheva Alomar, Barry Burton, and much more. It also makes you wonder if we will ever see solo games for other RE characters that ultimately deserve it because of their stories, character, and appeal. Ada is at the top of the list for most people. Sherry Birkin could be great as she's a Raccoon City survivor and now works in the same company Leon does, which is the DSO. Barry Burton, despite being an old man, can have a game for himself possibly, but if not, Revelations 2 was a great send-off. There's a lot of gaps in the timeline that, in my opinion, need to be filled. I'm not saying that it has to be every single year, but if there is a 4 to 6 year gap from one event to the other, I'm sure Capcom could definitely consider coming up with other events to possibly either tie it into Resident Evil Requiem. And it makes us wonder, when this game releases and when we beat it, what is truly next, as they are saying this is the ultimate conclusion, let alone Requiem, no pun intended. Do they take a long break and decide to fill those gaps along with remaking games, or do they take their time with the next mainline game, introducing new characters into the franchise possibly? There's a lot to discuss involving this topic, and I'm intrigued to the fullest if Capcom ever decides to go back into the timeline, like how Nakanishi has potentially teased. But I do want to ask you guys this question. If Capcom were to start going backwards, like let's say this next RE game is taking place in 2022 or dare I say 2018, would you be interested in that? Would you like the Revelation series to return, or possibly a new one with a new name? And what characters or plot holes would you like to see explored? There's a lot to unpack with this conversation. Now obviously we don't want Capcom to essentially overdo it, but if they deliver enough on top of remakes, the Resident Evil franchise will still be around and will remain as strong as ever, even after Requiem. But we will have to remain patient regardless. Be glad we're not in a spot where we won't get a game for the next decade. But if you guys enjoyed this video, be sure to leave a like on it to help it reach the YouTube algorithm, and subscribe to the channel for more content like this in the near future. And as always, I will catch you guys in my next video. Peace out and much love.